Divorce story. Not going back to my cage after quarantine is lifted. Please excuse the long and ranting post, brought to you by Freedom and Rum. 49 male here, with a 46 female wife, married 15 years, 2 kids, 16 male and 13 male. Yeah, you guessed it, surprise pregnancy with our oldest, so marriage. To outsiders, we have the perfect life and marriage, with a nice house, the usual 3 cars, 2 dogs, too much stuff, and my wife's 10 million IG posts of our happy family. Inside the cage, it's nothing but misery. There's no kindness, no love, no affection, no intimacy. There's only expectations I never live up to, demands, things I need to do, and then redo because I never get it right. I'm in therapy for depression, our youngest is in therapy for depression/anxiety, only family members know this. My wife insisted we take our therapy in the larger town an hour away, so nobody would find out. Both therapists have tried to get my wife involved in helping with treatment of the issues, and she's always refused. Everything is her way or the highway. I'm told if I leave or ever cheat, she'll make sure to take everything in court, plus make sure to keep me away from my children. I hear this a few times a week whenever I haven't done exactly what she wants, and done it to her perfectionist standards. I'm not even called by my name at home, it's always you or your father, usually, you need to do this for me, or, your father is being stupid again. It's been like this since about a year after our youngest was born. There was a gradual lessening of intimacy, then affection, then even basic respect, to where I've become nothing more than an accessory for fancy pictures while in public, and a pathetic dumbass mental case in private, and treated with disdain and anger constantly. I tried to get my wife to try couples counseling early into the decline, but there's nothing wrong with her, I am the problem. It got worse after I was officially diagnosed with depression. She's been using that as a weapon against me. Even trying to discuss small things I'm unhappy with at home, leads to a big fight and divorce threats every single time. Even mentioning that I'm having a bad day and need a break, or some help, just starts a fight or a mean lecture about I need to be working on myself. For the past 7 to 8 years I've just been in a fog, going through the marriage going sour, then getting the depression diagnosed, the adjustment to different medications, trying to not let the depression affect my family, and the absolute soul-crushing hell of being married to someone who thinks I'm stupid and despises me. Plus work, raising the kids, house chores, getting dragged to whatever new thing my wife decided we need to do, just so she can post pictures of her perfect family times. I've basically been living in hell. Until this quarantine. My wife insisted I leave the family home for the sake of the family. Because I've still needed to go into work once or twice a week, and the kids both had childhood asthma and might be in danger. I wholeheartedly agreed to this, better safe than sorry. My wife insisted I pay for a hotel and stay there, but when her sister and husband found out I was living in a hotel, they invited me to stay with them up in the larger town until this virus problem is all over. That started a hell of a text and phone fight with my wife, of course, since it wasn't her idea and she keeps our family pretty distant from her sister, because supposedly she's a bad influence. Then I was the bad guy for even answering the message my sis-in-law sent about staying over, with a polite no thank you, and I was making my wife look bad to say no, so I ended getting told by my wife to go stay with them, but I'm still paying for it in more angry messages and calls than usual. I've never understood until now why the in-laws are a bad influence. When they visit us for the big holidays and the kids' birthdays, they are always nice, fun, good people to be around. What I'm realizing the longer I'm around them day in day out, is that the bad influence is the way they treat each other with respect and caring. It's influencing me to realize that there's something else out there other than drudgery, dread, fear and misery. Something worth losing my home and even my children for. I'm just so damn tired of it all and I won't do it anymore. I'm sitting here, 4th drink of the night in hand, watching 2 people who care about each other make dinner together, talk about their day, just be happy around each other. It's shoving in my face just how much I am getting mistreated at home. It's making me see that, despite my mental issues, I don't deserve being mistreated so badly. And I've decided I'm not going back to my cage after this. There's no way my wife will ever change, or the situation at home will change. I've been looking up legal separations, lawyers to hire, apartments to rent. I've scheduled a virtual appointment with my therapist for tomorrow, to get some guidance there too. I have a list of people to start calling tomorrow to start off this divorce. I just want out, and I'm going to get myself out. Thanks for listening. Now for the top comments. P.S. Your mental issues will most likely subside when you are not being ignored and abused in your own house. You will feel so much better. This. Situational depression. You will thrive once the emotional parasite is gone. Been there. Stay strong. You matter. You were not put on earth for her manipulations. And I can tell you with certainty of parents that divorced after 30 plus years of marriage, staying for the kids does not protect us, but hurts us even more. Let's face it, none of us get to adulthood unscathed, but picking the uncomfortable battles helps. Stay strong. I made the decision to divorce after driving 11 hours alone to go to a funeral. At that funeral, everyone had their person. Holding hands, murmuring kind words, men saying I'll pull the car around. Women saying, do you need anything else? A whole family of old, young, married, coupled. I was the absolutely only one whose significant other refused to go. I looked around and realized I was never going to have that kind of companionship or friendship. It was horrible. I cried on the way home, but set my resolve. I am 49 and willing to start again. A Reddit quote, the good thing about divorce is, it gives you a chance to find love because you are never going to find it in your marriage. Best wishes to you. That's a tragic story. And I'm so sorry. But I have to agree with the quote. I was married for 13 years. After leaving, I finally met someone that's perfect for me. She understands my shortcomings and accepts them. I'm a happy person now. I too made the decision to separate from my husband after my uncle's funeral. He refused to go with me, and me realizing how my uncle treated my aunt is the kind of relationship I wanted in my life. I left 2 years ago. Careful. You may lose access to the home this way. General advice is not leave the house because you stand to lose a lot. Scroll down to what can I take if I move out before our divorce is finalized? Do not move out of your home before your divorce is finalized. Legally speaking, it is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Even if your divorce is amicable and you can't be together anymore, leaving is one of the most legally damaging decisions you can make in the middle of a divorce. The reason is simple. The person who leaves, even if it's because they're shocked by the news that their spouse wants a divorce, is legally considered abandoning the family. If you leave the home and your divorce proceedings don't go as planned, your spouse can choose to play dirty. This means she could accuse you of abandoning her and the kids. She's more likely to get the house, the kids, and more if it's determined you voluntarily left the home and family of your own accord. See a lawyer before you go back, and don't breathe a word of your intentions to the wife or family. Plan first. Then act. Thank you for that advice and link. Now for the next story. Friend cried after hearing what my marriage is like. For several weeks now, divorce has been on my mind. But despite my unhappiness, I haven't been able to go through with it. After another 3-day blow up with my wife over walking the dog. Yes, you read that right. I was at my limit and felt lost. I reached out to one of my oldest friends who truly knows me. I wanted to share with her my entire marriage experience. After sharing dozens and dozens of my many sad experiences in my marriage, she concluded that my wife was most likely a textbook narcissist. And after a moment of silence, she broke down into tears. She was so heartbroken by how I've been treated by my wife, and couldn't believe how cruel a person could be towards someone they should be loving. We talked for nearly 3 hours. And every which angle we looked at my marriage, it was clear that I need to leave. I told her I've known for some time, but I couldn't go through with it. She asked me why. I said because I fear being alone the rest of my life. My friend then gave me the defining statement of the call. She has beaten you down mentally so much that you can only see her version of you. Your experience is very similar to people abused by their spouse. They break you down until your own opinion of your self-worth is diminished. That immediately framed everything through the most accurate lens. She was so right. Many a time has my wife said, you would be nothing without me, no friends, family, and I'll take half of everything you have. At the end of the call, I committed to my friend to have an exit strategy and action plan. There was no way I would drop the D word to my spouse without packed bags, a place to stay and divorce papers. Also, before we hung up, my usually reserved friend said, leave the witch, which in a way, was validation of all my thoughts. Thank you for listening. Now for the top comments. My experience is very similar, except I'm the wife and my soon-to-be ex is the covert narcissist. July 31st, I told him I don't want to be married anymore. I didn't have a place lined up to stay, so it was hell on earth for 2 months, until I found an apartment and moved out. I tried to be as gentle as possible, lined up weekly couples therapy appointments, etc. in hopes of him understanding our real issues. But he sees it all as a ploy, as though I dragged him through with the intention of hurting him. I am still realizing how depleted my sense of self-worth and self-esteem became throughout our marriage. He wouldn't love me or be happy, unless I was his version of a wife, rather than my true self. Everyone deserves to be allowed to be themselves without judgment, period. The statement "beaten you down so much that you can only see her version of you" completely resonates. My spouse claims that he knows me better than I know myself, and that I'll never find someone who loves me as much as him. I know it's right to leave, and that in order to truly be happy and myself without threat and judgment I had to get away from him. The hard part is that we have a young kiddo together, so the vision of traditional family is gone. But kiddo is thriving, now having a mommy home and a daddy home. Good luck. My heart goes out to you. Do right by yourself and everything else will fall in line. Sending you lots of strength. Thank you for sharing as well as the kind words. It means a lot. And I'm feeling less and less alone in all of this. I had a narc-alcoholic husband. It took me a year to tell him we were divorcing. Thankfully he was drunk. Oh yeah, we were working together too, and he was my boss. Thankfully he knew he couldn't survive that job without my help. It took 4 years for all to be signed and done. I was prepared for most everything before telling him. He hid his jerk-like behaviors from friends and family. I took some blame and I just brushed it off. Don't be afraid to talk to your inner circle about her abuse. My mom became my biggest supporter. Get a storage place to stash your valuable/sentimental items. Wish I had done that. On your point on starting to stash away my personal belongings to prevent something nasty happening to them, I completely agree. She's the type to enter and leave arguments with a scorched earth mentality. She does not care who she hurts as long as she wins, or makes it known to everybody how angry she is. Narcissistic abuse is psychological abuse. You and your friend are right about the not leaving until the exit strategy is sorted and the bags are packed. Go no contact as soon as you can once you're out and the paperwork is finalized. Best wishes for rebuilding your life and self-esteem. No contact is going to be tough with us having 2 teenagers. I am even contemplating starting in a new city or country, but don't want to leave my boys during their formative years. This is probably one of the things I fear. The inability to escape her voice. Now for the last story. $0 alimony. Ex-wife had to move in with her folks. Feel bad? No. I got divorced back in May 2017. My ex-wife requested 50% of my take-home pay and spousal maintenance/alimony because she's too sick to work, but no evidence. Plus, child support to be based on me only having visitation. Plus, she wanted me to pay for her to get private health insurance. Plus, she wanted 50% of the equity of the separate and my sole property, house. Plus she felt that the 2015 Altima iDrive was a marital asset, but the loan to buy the car was all on me. Plus she wanted 50% of my 401k. She refused to work, pill-popping problems, and didn't drive, due to a DUI from popping pills. She actually tried to argue that the $7,000 in DUI fines were a marital debt, but her lawyer told her, "You're treading on thin ice, lady." In the end, the judge awarded her $0 in alimony. I got 50% custody. I kept my house. I kept my car and car loan. She got 50% of my 401k and 10% of the equity in the house. In 1 year, she spent it all. She didn't realize that 401k is pre-tax dollars, so when she spent that money, the IRS took out 10% tax, but she owed more than that. And she owed money to the state income taxes as well. Then she had to move in with her folks. She's still there 18 months later and they have to deal with her pill-popping ways. Do I care? Sorry. 0 F's given. Now for the top comments. Her sense of entitlement is amazing. I am glad in this instance you came out ahead. Sounds like you should have gotten full custody of your kid, but this is one area where men get screwed. Yep. Her DUI was with the kids in the car. My daughter was pretty banged up because she wasn't even buckled in. Even with that, best I could do was 50% custody. If the situation was reversed, I'd be lucky to get supervised visitation. Which state are you in, if you don't mind me asking? Arizona for the whole of our marriage. Arizona doesn't have a spousal support calculator. It's based on the discretion of the judge, if the spouse asking for money meets criteria. Yikes. Sorry to hear that. Addiction is a terrible thing to live with. Good point. Yay, sucks that he lost his wife due to addiction. Congratulations on your freedom. Celebrate with an R&on meeting? To be blunt, those of us who married someone with a D problem, should probably examine why we did that, so we don't repeat that mistake. I'm glad you got your equitable end. Please get the kids away from her. She is an addict. All of that is not normal. Easier said than done. Only way to get full custody, is that she would have to have another great big disaster. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.